Hey, Runny here. Shall we make a game? And today we are rewriting the timer system. Ironically, I'm doing so starting 17 minutes late. And because of my poor timekeeping, I'm probably going to, even though I normally do a 2-hour session on the weekend, today I'm only going to be doing 1 hour because my time management skills have completely failed me. Right. Yes, what was I doing? Right, okay, so yeah. The existing timer system, the way it works is, yes, it's a pre-sorted queue. So the soonest timers are at the front of the queue, so that in theory you don't have to do as much. You don't have to iterate for as much of the queue. However, in practice, you still do because you have to decrement all those counters of how many frames are left before those timers are raised. So yeah. I can probably use the amount of frames left to determine whether or not a timer is, determine whether or not a, whether or not a timer is occupied. So, get rid of this is fine. Okay, yeah, we're going to run through our list. And whereas at the moment we're trying to find, a timer that starts after us. We don't care about that anymore. Yeah, we're just trying to find anything that has no time left on it. And then this bit here, get rid of that. And oh yeah, this needs adjusting too. This is a handler for if we're currently iterating for the list. That's fine. Right. Okay, that's nearly correct, I think. Right then, so yeah, in this loop here, this is the bit where we're actually kind of like going through it and executing the timers. This needs pretty much completely rewriting. So this variable here needs replacing with global because we're going to be using this up here. That way, if we are creating new ones in here, we can add an extra frame of delay. If there's a risk, it's going to double count at this frame just because of where it's landing. And let's make sure that we put this back up to a very silly number so that it's impossible for, let's say we iterate for the timers, only 2 timers, we then add timers 5 and 6. It can't possibly see that we're, it can't possibly get confused. As confused as I am right now. And all this complex logic we have in here, we can just throw this all out. None of this is even slightly necessary anymore. So yeah, we're decrementing that timer. We're going to write it back straight away because if we have depleted the timer, we want to zero it out. And if we haven't, we want to count it down anyway. That's good. Oh, wait. We want the kind of like, we don't want to count the timers down if they've already hit 0 as they'll wrap back around. Yeah. Okay, and then if it's now 0, that's when we execute the timer. So grab this out of here. Execute it and then destroy it. Hang on. We actually want to delay writing a 0 until afterwards. And the reason for that is we don't want to create new timers and overwrite the timer we're in the process of executing. Right, that should do. This is complaining because I've removed the variable, placed it for global, and then this is fine. We're looking for an empty slot. An optimization I'm going to see if I can drop into this later on is basically keeping a record of where the earliest known empty slot is, so that it should speed search quite considerably. And also keeping a record of where the last known occupied slot is. Right, so yeah, we're adding an extra frame if we are adding a time count in the slot after the one we're currently executing. Okay. That actually removed a lot of complexity and shouldn't have introduced any bugs. Same one way to find out, I suppose. Right, so... okay, right. I was just looking at the logic for destroying a timer, and at the moment we have this sort of compaction routine where if we have, say, 10 timers and we delete the second one, we were previously keeping them sorted, so it'd have to move all the timers down afterwards down a bucket. We're no longer doing any of that, so we can get rid of all of this logic. And literally, all this is going to do when you destroy a timer is set the remaining frames on it to 0. That's all we need to do. Something that's not great though is I've got this sort of meta field I was hoping to store. Yeah, I was sort of hoping to store, well, arbitrary data in from when you create a timer. Let's have a look at where I use that. I think I do use it, so I was hoping to be able to store the bucket number that you're kind of like working with. I guess I could have my own meta in here. I might just do that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. But that means if you were inside the timer and you tried to look up the meta, you'd find something you're not expecting. Right, I'll just make a note to check that. I might actually, I'm going to have a look at where this is actually used. I might actually be able to, no, I can't quite get rid of it. So I was thinking like, you know, can I make this meta only passed into the destructor, because that's where you're generally going to be using it to, you know, clear the sort of like, the sort of bucket that you kind of association with it, but that's not where that's not the only place it's used. It's also used when, say, updating a component. All right, okay. So what am I going to do about that? I guess I could make a timer meta. Yes, I'm going to do that. Even though this will be the exact same type, it's just to kind of make it clearer just by looking at the types, exactly what's going in there. Yeah, even though it's the exact same type with almost the exact same description, it just makes it a bit clearer that it's not the component's meta. Right, and then here it is. And then rather than storing that taking that directly from the input, we're going to think, oh, sorry, we're going to store the actual, the index, the bucket number that we put the timer in. And then I need to store this somewhere so that we can retrieve it for the callback. I might start adding this to other things, to be honest. This is very useful. I might say add it to the advanced component that runs every frame. That'd be very useful for that. And then, don't need that break anymore. Yeah, I also need to do an accuracy check just to make sure that, say, what that kind of means is if I run a 10 frame timer and a 20 frame timer, they should stay kind of locked. So yeah. Now we need to run that. Instead we need to do that. Nice and simple. Should work. Whether it actually will, different matter entirely, but it should work. Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, I'm not actually iterating the loop variable. Oops. And then we need to error out if we get to here. Too many timer components. That will do. And it's way shorter than it used to be. Has far less complex logic in it. And I think in the real world, this is likely to perform just a little better. Not drastically better, but I think it's likely to perform at least a little better. I changed the header file. I should have used a parallel build. Oh well, it's nearly done. Okay, crash. Yep, there we go. Ask and I shall receive. Indirect call to null. So that means we've got somewhere where it's probably yeah, so we're getting a callback here, and we're probably doing something wrong with this. Destroying the component should be zeroing out its number of frames. So that should be fine. Okay, let's just remove the code that runs the timer. Let's just see what happens. Oh, wait, I see it. Right. What's happening there is I'm using the component ID here, whereas what I actually want to do is I actually want to use the index. I want to get the metadata out of the bucket, not using a completely unrelated number. Get rid of that line as well from just only using it in one place. That will do. Let's see what that does. Okay, new timer system appears to be working. That was surprisingly easy, wasn't it? Suspiciously easy. Okay, so what I'm going to do here to be able to test this and just make sure that the timers are running for the exact right number of frames that they're supposed to be, is I'm going to open the introduction script and find the bit where this kind of animation plays, and I'm just going to make it do nothing when it reaches the end. Where is it? It is here. It's going to be a bit in here, replace an animation. Yeah, there we go. That's the one. This is where after kind of like the protagonist kind of recovers, it kind of continues to script. So if I just remove that, it should just sort of freeze as soon as he hits the window. Well, it might be a bit comical. Dunk! Nope. Okay. No, I did that wrong, actually. I did that very wrong. Let's just comment all of that out. Shouldn't need any of it. Except this line. Because I'm going to use the curtains to check whether the animation system is timing properly. Not using the component ID, that's fine. Actually, no, we do want to use the component ID, just to stop this timer running. And then we're no longer using this, so I'm just going to void it off, just so C knows that I intended not to use it. Okay, should hit the window and just sort of stop. Right, there we go. So you see the curtains are currently synced. So if I go to apartment file and I'm going to make these perfectly sync up, but one of them is going to take twice as long as the other. Let's do that. And if this animation system is working correctly, just going to give that, say, 30 seconds to go out of sync. That looks like it's staying in sync pretty good. That implies that the accuracy is probably about right. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. Unit tests, who needs them? Okay, we can get rid of that. That's good. Well, that was relatively painless, I guess. So it's going to revert the other changes I've made to the introduction script. Okay, good. I didn't make any of the silly changes. Good. So the next thing is, I was going to add a callback. Yeah. And this is going to execute each frame during a timer. It's going to be optional, because you're not always going to need this, but this is for kind of like animation and things like that. So, and that's the reason I'm actually using the number of frames, not whether there's a callback or not, to determine whether a timer exists. Which is called each advance of a timer. Yeah, that'll do. I'm going to pass in that metadata, but we're also going to pass in the number of I'm only storing the number of frames remaining. Could that be improved? Most timers aren't going to need this feature, so I'll just make it give you the number remaining. And this may be 0. I want to make sure this always runs. So if you've got, like, say, an animation of someone moving to the end, sorry, someone following, say, a path, there'll always be exactly one time when it's reached the end. Okay, that should be good. We've renamed this callback, that's fine. Okay, yep. Easy, easy. Just need to update this to match, and we should be good. Oh, hang on. I've got two things with the same. Got two things with the same name. That's not great. And I think that might even be allowed by the compiler here because they're both the same type. Both the same type. Oh my god, I cannot type this morning. Or talk. Doing a great job. Okay, so I need to grab a copy of the callback, execute it if it exists. Do the same for the advanced callback. Almost there, almost got it. And I'm also going to read this once and reuse it as it's very... no, actually it's not super likely I'm going to need it each frame. Most timers aren't going to have this advanced thing, they're only going to have the expiry thing. I think reading it twice in a rare case is better than reading it once when you... in a rare case. Reading it once every time, regardless of whether you need it. Okay, that might work. Well, it's going to build... oh, sorry, I'm struggling to talk a bit. That's going to generate a bunch of compile errors because we've just changed the parameters to that function. We don't need a second callback there. This one isn't doing anything each time. It loops around. Continue the build. Same for the animation component. The animation component does not care how many frames are passing. Now, the one case where we... oh wait, is there more? How many timers am I setting in here? Hang on. Ah, I know why. I know why there's three of them. There's one when you create it. When you actually create the mesh component, it makes a timer then. When you change the animation, it creates one then. And each frame, it then sets a timer for the next frame. So that makes sense. And this is complaining about... oh yeah. I didn't change the type. Okay, then it should complain about the introduction script. Come on, don't let me down. What? Did I just set timers in here? Oh, no, I don't. I actually use the advanced queue. Okay. So I need to find the code that deals with... Yeah, here it is. This is the code that deals with the angel animation. Yes. So I'm going to change this to a timer. And what am I attaching this to? I guess I'm going to attach it to the angel. That'll probably work fine. Does, you know, relate to them directly. We're directly attaching it, so we don't need to pass in a parent component ID. We don't need to pass in any metadata. We already have everything we need right here. We're going to actually split this into two separate functions because at the moment we have kind of like this, you know, before and sort of after progress. Which is, quite frankly, I'm going to be using it pretty often. Do I change that remaining advances to just be a progress and store the length of each timer? I guess I could. It does feel like I'm storing a lot of data for an edge case, but I don't know. Yeah, let's do that. That will do. So yeah, we need to define a variable in here just for how many frames I got. No, I don't actually. I don't need to store that information anywhere anymore. I can just write it right here. That was the whole point of doing what I just did. So yeah. Script introduction. And let's call this one risen. Yeah, it's what happens when he's risen. And someone for rising, because what happens while he's rising. Get rid of that, no longer need that. Yeah, I guess one of the things about this timer queue thing is the most important thing about it is that it makes it easy to work with. Not necessarily that it's, you know, like got exactly the features needed and no more. It needs to be easy to work with. I was thinking about this because there is a game idea I'd like to build with this engine eventually that is very, very large scale. I'm talking a ridiculous amount of things on the screen. And I'm thinking this entity component system might not be suited to that. It's going to have a lot of overhead that's very useful for me here because I'm being like, you know, I've got 4, maybe 5 objects in a scene and I want to be able to easily control them without lots of boilerplate. But when we're talking about mass scale, the component system wouldn't be giving us that much really. It would be bespoke writing code for kind of like the huge amounts of things on the screen. And like, would you really notice if, say, animations weren't running independently? There were, you know, if say imagine a game like Vampire Survivors where every monster on the screen actually ran their animations in sync, just so you don't have to keep all these separate timers tracked. You probably wouldn't notice because there's just so much stuff going on. Or if, say, their ID number was used to offset, you probably wouldn't notice. Yeah, what was I saying anyway? What did I call this again? Yeah, that's wordy, isn't it? Let's go with that. We now get rid of the rise progress entirely. This function ends up just being that. That's nice and simple. We can then, wait, that's rising, not risen. I might swap these two arguments around. This is a bit weird that you kind of like, here's the thing that's, when it's, because you're putting the end before the, you know, you're putting the destination before the journey. That's a bit weird. put some of these in because it can't hurt, can it? So when it's risen, we basically need to, we actually need to, oh, I was going to say, we need to delete that timer. We don't, it's just expired. That's nice. Arrived and approaching. And how many frames is this? 40. So we no longer have to deal with this like painful math. It's just, yeah, all being handled by the timer system now. So let's copy this. And again, all we need to do in this sort of, rising thing is just that one line. That is way neater. All right, okay, that's tidied things up considerably. So the next thing I need to do is actually need to record how many. Yeah, I need to record the total number of frames. But I was just thinking about this, right? Theoretically, I can actually skip writing this if there is no kind of advanced callback. But honestly, a branch is probably more expensive than just writing to an array that I'm not going to use. Okay, so if we come into here and yeah, so if we have this callback, that's when we actually read from this separate array. And then we calculate how far through we are. Can't do this using integer logic, can I? No, I'm going to have to cast it to a float. Kind of annoying, I don't really see any way around it though. Actually, I might store these as floats from the very beginning, just so that at least part of the equation is already in the format we need it. Yeah, that'll do. It takes the same amount of memory, it's still 32-bit. Okay, we're going to need that twice because I'm counting down, not counting up, which I am doing for a number of reasons. It makes it a bit complicated in that I actually need to subtract by, yeah, I need to subtract the number of remaining frames from the total number of frames to get the progressed frames and then divide it by the total. Okay. That took way more brain power. That took way more brain power than it really should have done to figure out. So yeah, I'm still not entirely with it. I do wonder when I am actually going to recover, if ever. Right, this is going to want advanced notice that I have defined some functions. So I'm just going to grab all these and just delete the bodies out. Okay, that might work. Let's find out. Oh, I've changed the header file. Oh no, I've frozen my console. Let's just kill it, make a new one. Oh yes. I renamed these, didn't I? And I need to void these component IDs off as I'm not using them. Ah! It's a bit annoying that the... Oh, sorry again. I wonder if there's a way to tell Visual Studio Code which warnings I have enabled so it could display them in here. Yeah, that 1 hour target's definitely a good place to stop, I think, for today, because, man, I can barely talk. Right, does it work? Oh my god, I think it works. Why did the sky disappear? What the heck? What just happened? What? Why has this guy stopped animating? But the game hasn't crashed, the mouse is still working. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm just gonna swap those two arguments around. I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it. Right, this should make a lot of code very angry. Yeah, it did. Oh, I can get rid of a lot of this code as well. I didn't even realize that. I think? No. Let's do a proper make so we can get some proper error messages out of this. Yeah, I just need to swap that brand to there because I've swapped the order of the arguments. And there should be one more in here. Interesting how Visual Studio isn't picking that up because it seems to have some very advanced IntelliSense stuff for C. Like it seems to be able to run the preprocessor, which is really impressive to me. Yeah, that might be all of it. No, not quite. Yep, that's all of it. It will probably still crash in the same way. And then I need to figure out what the heck is going on. Hopefully it's not like a division by 0 or something. Okay, we have a skybox. He does animate once. That's sort of interesting. I wonder what's going on here. Let's have a look at what we're actually telling it to do. Oh, hang on, let's see what's happening. Yeah, so I've got this code left over from when, because previously it was a timer that would run every single frame. So we had to destroy it just to stop it, looping forever. It's probably just destroying a completely random component as a result of me, Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, it was destroying basically a random component that happened to have the same ID. Come on, let's see it happen. That's still not working, but we'll figure it out. Because that's one timer working. That guy's timer isn't running. It looks like I might have broken timers that don't have an advance. callback. Hmm. Hmm. How have I managed this? Hmm. Something I have just realised is that all of these are probably wrong. Because I've got this component ID in here. It's not actually a component ID, it's actually a timer component method. So I'm just going to see if I can fix that just quickly. Oh, hang on, I won't know what the problem is. I'm probably getting the, yeah, when the timer executes, am I doing anything silly in here? Like say, no, that's all good. That's all above board. I was like wondering if I was maybe like looking up the meta of the timer and then, but no, that's not what's happening. So let's just check here. This is, no, that's just an animation. That's the timer. That's a timer. That's a timer. In fact, they're all of these are timers. What am I doing? Man, I'm glad I'm glad I didn't promise a 2-hour stream for today because there's no way I'll be able to do it. Oh no. Eventually we'll have a really nice system for making cutscenes, and I'll actually be like, it'd be nowhere as easy to use as a proper game engine, but I guess no random TOS changes can take it away. Right, so let's have a look here. This guy's animation is definitely not playing. So that implies I've done something wrong in the timer queue. Or maybe in here. Let's just check. Everywhere that we call into this, are we definitely passing in the right timer? It looks like we are. And this timer is definitely... Let's just make it crash in here. Let's make sure that, you know, let's try and figure out, are these timers firing at all, or are we mishandling them when they do? They're not firing at all. All right, okay. Well, that clears that up, I guess. So we're definitely copying it down. That's good. We're definitely writing that back, and we're definitely then destroying it here. Let's see, is it hitting this? Okay, it is, but like probably for one of the timers that runs on the advanced loop. Okay, so it looks like it's getting to here, but not for... This is kind of mystifying. How's it executing for only some timers, not others? That doesn't make any sense. Hang on, I might have done something silly here. There we go. Right, yeah. So I renamed this variable, right, to to remaining advances. Meaning that it's coming to here and it's going like, right, do any of these timers, rather than going, do any of these timers not have any frames left, implying they're not in use, it's going, do any of these timers not have a callback per advance? So that's why that's not working. That should fix it. So it is creating the timers and then immediately deleting them. Very good. There we go. So that worked pretty nicely. So now I'm going to get this guy to walk across the floor. So, well, first of all, I'm just going to commit what I just did because otherwise I will forget. It's kind of seeming like advanced components don't actually have a lot of call to exist anymore. If everything's very timer based and yeah, they don't seem to have much. I mean, I'll keep them around. I'm sure they're going to be useful for something eventually, but they don't seem to be that useful right now. Very rare I seem to need to run code every frame. It's usually like timer driven. Or if if it is every frame, it's every frame during a timer. Like an animation or something. I'm sure there'll be a reason for it in the end. All right, okay. So let's get this guy walking, shall we? So one of the things I have here is I have this loop. I'm gonna get rid of that because I've rethought this and gone, why am I doing that? Why am I counting the number of animation loops when I could instead just set a timer? That's why I made the timer component, isn't it? So we're going to put this on the protagonist because it does relate to him specifically. It does not have a parent component ID. We don't need any metadata. Don't need anything to run every frame. We just need it so that after so many frames. So what do we go for here? We went for like 2 loops and the animation is, hang on. I want the implementation. It's about 100 frames. Let's give him 120 frames. Let's give him a few moments. So do I name this after the thing that just happened or the thing that's about to happen? That'll do, I think. And we need some timer meta in here. Not going to use it for anything, but we need it. And then we're going to place walk animation, and then we're going to set a new timer that moves them across the floor. Just thought about this. I'm going to have 2 animations that actually need to intersect because I'm going to have like the angel kind of carrying the protagonist. I guess I can get away with that. I can just put them both in the same file. I think you can have multiple materials for objects in Blender. You probably can. So I can just merge them into a single piece of geometry. That should work nicely. I think I'll start from the angel file just because that'll allow me to reuse the wing animation. Anyway. Let's just steal these to make our new functions down here. Okay, this one is every frame he is walking. I'm probably going to store his actual location in a variable, or well, its initial location in the constant, just so I can use it here. I'm not going to need the component meta. It's kind of annoying, I have to keep voiding that off, but there we go. It'd be nice if I could, if I actually like decorate these with an attribute or something. Ideally in the kind of type declaration for the callback to say the callback parameters, they might be used, but if they're not, it's not a big a deal. Most functions, it would be a big deal if you had a parameter and didn't use it, but in this case, it's a callback, it's generic. Okay, so where do I place the protagonist? It's going to be in the very first script, isn't it? There it is. So yeah, those are our coordinates. Easy, okay. Nothing is going to happen when he reaches the destination in a minute. That's fine. We'll figure it out from there. Actually, I can just stop him walking. Yep, that's fine. And then we need to adjust his position so he moves across the floor. So we have this function. This is the one I want. I'm not currently storing his matrix anywhere, so I'm going to do that in a second. And that'll probably do. One way to find out. He might be facing backwards when I do this, as I do not remember which way around any of like the transform stuff is. So who even knows until we try running it. He might face the camera, he might face away, he might face the wall. Just not going to know until I run it. Haven't quite got that intuition for the 3D space we're using here yet. Yeah, so let's just take a copy of that. And let's go find the code that interacts with this. And let's use it on the protagonist. That's suddenly complaining about a bunch of stuff. Oh, I haven't got a semicolon. This is a pedantic language that requires semicolons. Right. That might work. Let's find out. Nope, that did not work. What's it talking about? Oh, it's because I didn't give it advance notice I was going to be declaring these things. Fine, C, you can have them. I don't think I'm using that one anymore. On the one hand, I do like the fact that you have this like list at the top of the function or the top of the file going like, here's all of the stages of this animation. But it is still kind of annoying that I have to do this. Okay, let's speed run through this. And then the game froze for some reason. Will it recover? We'll find out. There it is. So he gets up, has a moment of like breathing. Okay, that kind of worked. His animation didn't look great. I think he might have been just too fast. So let's double the length. And I'm going to very, very, very slightly speed up the animation, just a touch. just a touch, so they're applying a sledgehammer to the frame data. Man, I really need to look into implementing a skip cutscene button. Yeah, that'll do. I'm happy with that. Have I changed anything about the components? Nope, it's just the introduction script. Okay, I'm going to see about introducing a feature to skip cutscenes because, I'm not going to lie, these are kind of annoying. So I'm thinking this is actually a function of the timer system, right? You'd be able to, when you're creating a timer, you'd be able to record whether it's a skippable timer or not. And if it is, yeah, it means that it runs immediately the second you kind of click. And yeah, I'm trying to figure if there's any other consequences I'm going to want for that. I mean, it might mess up animations a bit. Oh, actually, that gets really complicated because sometimes I've got, for instance, well, this is just timer driven. This bit here is actually driven by his animation, so animations would also need to know whether the skip cutscene button should skip them. Okay, so kind of walks across, and then I'm just gonna have this guy kind of like approach, and then it's just gonna do it quite quickly, and then we're gonna switch to a different model that just shows them combined. So let's open Blender and let's see if we can get a start on that model. Anytime today, Blender. Thank you. Okay. Just size this correctly. So it's going to be a variant of the standing model, I think. And let's call it carrying protagonist. And it's an important OBJ file. Let's bring in the protagonist. Now, is this going to do anything stupid? Yes, it is. It's going to bring in all of them. I ideally only want one of these. This is kind of annoying. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so I guess we delete every single visible model because I hid all the angels models. Only thing I want is a T-pose. And then I'm going to merge that into the angel carrying model. And then it's kind of annoying. They've kind of merged into, well, they've sort of merged in ways I don't want them to and not merged in others. Let's move them out of the way a bit. So have a look at how it looks in Blender at the minute. Now, there's nothing in the, because I've just imported these files off disk, there's nothing in a MTL file to say whether the textures are filtered or not. It gives you like rough parameters, like say the surface color, like shininess, I think that is, and like the texture, but it doesn't say whether the texture's filtered. So I need to go in and fix this. I might be able to do it in here. No. Now again, slightly annoying aspect of Blender is that you can't edit any of this in the workbench renderer for some reason. You have to switch over to Eevee, which has a bunch of like lighting and filtering we don't want. Then you can change it, I think. Yeah, there it is. So linear to closest. That'll do. And then we can switch back to the simpler renderer we actually want. Okay, so I'm trying to think how this kind of like angel will actually carry this guy. Don't really want to Google that in case something really spicy shows up on stream. That'd be funny. Let's see here. If I was carrying someone, what would I do? Well, I kind of have like the one arm kind of higher up, kind of like to support like the back, the upper back, and like the head, and I kind of have like one underneath the sort of legs, right? Sort of like lower, almost kind of like a drunk octopus wants to fight forklift. If that makes any sense, if that analogy makes any sense. I was wondering if maybe, like let's say like bend the leg or something like that to support them with that, but that would look a bit weird, probably. So yeah, so let's see here. Right arm low, left arm high. Let's snap the cursor to the shoulder. The right mode, that's good. And then let's do the same for the elbow. Try and retain some volume in here. Right, so that's left arm high, right arm low. Maybe that should be slightly higher actually. Get that out of the way. It's meant to be hanging down. Yeah, let's raise this up slightly. It's so refreshing just being able to just move vertices wherever you want, not having to worry about like bones and things, stuff like that. Just really go, I just want that higher. Doesn't matter if it's actually kind of physically impossible. It's just what I want. And again, I'm actually going to move it like down. It's actually stretching his arm slightly, but who cares? You won't be able to tell. Okay, let's try and figure out how to get this old man into position. I'm just going to deal with the body first because the head can just go on later. Let's get rid of that mode. So we're going to rotate him kind of like that. And I can see that the angel's arms are in completely the wrong position. They're way too wide open. They need to be far closer together. Again, this would be a pain in the ass if these had bones in them, but they don't, so I can do what I like. Oh my god, this is unintentionally hilarious in so many ways. Animation stuff always is. It always looks just so cursed all the time. And then suddenly it comes to life and you're like, oh, where did that come from? Oh, let's change the rotation center back to the 3D cursor. So you're gonna have kind of like an arm sort of over the back of him. It's kind of intersecting for the wing, but again, we're like, who cares? I might move the wing back slightly actually, just so that isn't really a problem. Okay, let's move his other arm around a bit. Just get it out of the way. Can probably actually rotate the. Oh, that went a bit wrong. Oh no! Oh, still got the rotation center moved. There we go. Maybe like bring the shoulder out and down a bit like that. Okay, that's. This is still cursed. I'm fully aware this is still cursed AF right now, but a bit more, it might not be. That's what I'm banking on, okay? So let's grab, I'm just gonna hide everything to do with the angel just for now, so we can select this guy's legs a bit more easily. Oh, I didn't deselect everything first, damn it. How do I deselect everything? Alt-A. Okay, I'll try and keep that in mind. Oh, it selects everything on, oh, I don't want that. Right. Okay, I have a plan. I'm going to select everything I don't want, right? Reveal hidden, and then invert selection. There we go. This is no time to play games with me, Blender. Let's do that, and oops, don't select his head yet. We'll deal with that later. I'm going to kind of like do that. The angle's kind of wrong, isn't it? Okay, let's rotate those like that. So it's almost... this doesn't look great. Guess I've never animated anyone in this kind of pose before. Okay, let's make it so it's kind of like more like that. And we're going to rotate the whole kind of like protagonist around a bit. Also move parts of his lower back down just to kind of maintain a bit of volume. And then select the whole thing. I'm going to rotate him around a bit and sort of do that. And that's starting to look less cursed. It still looks cursed, you know, don't get me wrong, it still looks cursed AF, but it's starting to look probably just about good enough that we can get away with it in a low, low fidelity game. Move the elbow around a bit, just to, again, maintain a bit of volume. Look how long his arm has become. That's so ridiculous. There we go. Yeah, that arm is way too long. I guess the thing is, it's also far too far out. It's kind of stretching his upper arm beyond credibility. So we can kind of just move it in a bit and maybe like narrow these down a bit and grab his kind of wrist and move it in again. It's kind of like pressing it against his side, I suppose. Hey, that looks, I mean, other than the, floating head and stuff and the arm out like this, that looks almost believable. So I would guess he'd kind of like fold his arm over the other guy's arm. Oops, I didn't change the rotation center again. What am I doing? And there we go. Okay. Let's have him take his stick with him. Again, let's shorten it slightly. And then reset the rotation center. And just put it in his hand. Actually, no, let's not shorten it slightly. I think that actually looks better at its original length. Man, I wonder if like real animators do this. They just go, oh, let's just make the stick a bit shorter on this frame. I mean, like I'm not feeling it at its realistic length. I know the whole squash and stretch thing, but like it's a bit different. This isn't like a single frame. This is like continuous. Okay, very good. Let's put his head on there. I wonder which way his head should be facing, because I'm thinking not that way. It looks a bit weird that he's kind of like looking at the camera. He's ruined the shot. It's completely ruined the shot. Let's actually lower his upper torso just slightly. I think it looks a bit weird that he's kind of like... I know it's kind of almost realistic that like he would be so high up, but it looks kind of weird that he is. He's meant to be short and like putting him on top of on top of the like shot on top of the angel shot like that kind of looks a bit weird. There you go. That'll do. It's only gonna be on screen for like a couple of seconds. That'll probably do. So oh yeah, actually, what I'm also going to do, and again, this is completely unrealistic, is I'm actually just going to shove the angel's kind of like torso like completely out the way, just so you can see like more of the protagonist, because like, the protagonist is kind of just intersecting the guy. We can just shove this out of the way though, it doesn't matter. None of this is real. There we go. So yeah, I'm just going to duplicate that and call it B. And then I'm going to bring in standing B. Duplicate that, hide the real one, go into our carrying frame. It's going to delete the wings and the halo, if I can. There they are. Ah, I've got it in kind of like click through mode, so I have to collect them in the center. At which point I can delete everything but the wings and the halo in this B frame. So I remember it took quite a while to get that animation nice. Okay, so what am I going to do here with regards to animation? Well, I'm thinking like the stick is going to move actually quite a bit. It's almost kind of, you know, waving around the wind a bit. I'm going to move the whole protagonist up and down very slightly. It's almost kind of like, you know, like the angel, like despite his might, it's still carrying a full-grown human being. Yeah. Let's do a bit of shoulder adjustments. Bit of head position adjustment. Not too much, just a bit, so we've got a bit of motion. And let's just move some of these vertices around slightly, just as something going on down here. Okay, let's see how that looks. It might look good, probably won't. There's only 1 minute to find out though. So as per usual, I'm gonna have to go to here. I cannot spell angel. What is wrong with me? Yeah. And then we actually need to import some stuff for that, some frame data. Right, and then, okay, next thing we need to do is in the introduction script, when he's finished walking, I might add an extra, yeah, I'm gonna add a small delay here. How much? Shall I say 30 frames will probably do. Just gonna make a note of that animation name there so I can use it later. Oops. One second, I'll just sort something. It's hopefully invisible. It appears to be invisible. It appears to be invisible. What a turn of phrase. What am I doing with this? What am I doing with this thing that is invisible to you all? A very good question. Ah, that'll do. I'll get it out of the way. Right. Back on task. So we're going to have the protagonist wait for a moment. And we don't need parent component ID, don't need any metadata, don't need anything running while it's while time is expiring. we'll say 60 frames, just like a, like a beat, less like a second. Might end up changing it later on, but we'll find out. Right, and then what that's going to do is it's going to have the angel kind of approach from the side. So again, I might actually store his location in a variable just so I can do that. Yes. So we're going to need two callbacks for this. Sorry. One to kind of like animate him moving, one to actually do things when he arrives. So almost exactly the same structure as this kind of like walking and walked thing. And the walked one is going to be dead simple. It's just going to, we're not going to use the component meta. We don't need it. We're going to delete the protagonist as they're kind of merging into the angel. And then we are going to, we're going to then have the angel face the camera, and then we're going to play the animation of him carrying the protagonist. This is going to be the first time I've ever tried importing a model into this engine with more than one material on it. I think odds are pretty good it'll work. So you'll way to find out, isn't there? Yeah, that's fine. Just overthinking things, don't worry about me. So do I have a linear interpolation function in here yet? No, I don't. I'm going to define one. Actually, it might be in the header file. So this is nice and simple. It's in fact, no, I'm not going to do that. So the reason, no, actually I will. I'm being so indecisive today. What am I doing? So this is usually really simple. It's the starting point, add the difference between the destination and the start. I'm just going to put these on brackets so if the preprocessor expands anything weird here, it doesn't break anything. Multiplied by the units interval. Dead simple. I think there is actually a faster form of it, but I remember reading something somewhere in an article by some C programming god, but that'll do. That'll be fast enough for our purposes of having like at most like 2 or 3 of them a frame. Interpolates between 2 variables. Must be, actually I'll put that in the parameters. Parameter 1 is from variable to linearly interpolate from, I can't type. Must be floating point because it could be 32 or 64 bits. We don't care. The interpolate 2 must be floating point. The progress along the linear interpolation where 0 is from, oh my god, I can't type, and 1 is 2, extrapolates beyond that range. Must be floating points. And it just returns the calculated linear interpolation, so I can't be bothered to write anymore. Right. So now we have a nice linear interpolate function. We can pass in the progress unit interval. Very nice. And I need to actually store the angel's position in a constant again so I can reuse it. So there's something commented there. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a kind of like a writing note. I feel like one of the kind of roots for this conversation, it kind of feels like the protagonist just accepts what they're being told, doesn't question it, and I'd like to fix that. Yeah, this is the bit where he's kind of like arrived, doesn't it? Yeah, there you go. So I'm just going to grab all of these variables and move them up here. Wow, these are going to be some wordy variables, aren't they? Word salad, my favorite. Oh my god, I just keep writing angle when I'm trying to write angel. Could I have picked a more bloody difficult thing to type to put in my game? Anyway. Angel standing. That'll do. I know what that means. I won't know what it means in like 2 hours time, but I know what it means now, and that's all that really matters, right? So I'm just going to split this out over multiple lines as this is getting quite long, much like the stream. Okay, that's good. Next up, we're going to interpolate from that variable which defines to yeah, we'll just pick an arbitrary point in space. It'll probably do. And we are also going to linearly interpolate him towards the same z coordinate, so he's kind of like lining up with the guys about to pick up. And now this will complain because I don't think I've advanced declared any of these. Whatever, we'll sort it out then. I also need to rotate him towards the other guy. Hey, I just realized, just like eyeballing that angle actually kind of worked. I'm kind of shocked by that. I was expecting it to be backwards, the good old graphics programmer, flip it around twice and it fits, kind of deal. Right, what was I doing next? Yeah, I'm just going to advance declare these if I can. Just going to take a second. It's faster than following errors, I guess. All right. See what happens. That looks like it's recompiling everything. Why? Did I edit? Oh yeah, I did edit a header file. I put in the linear interpolation function. Oops. Okay. Looks like it compiled. I think. Well, it hasn't failed to compile yet. Yeah, very good. Okay. Let's see what it does. Yeah, I need to put an extra animation stage in there. I might do that for a finish for today. Okay. And then I really need to fix it. I really need to find this issue with this event loop and fix it where it just occasionally freezes up. I'll be honest, I hadn't originally actually planned to make a web runtime for this. It's just that it was the quickest one to build because WebAssembly and image presentation stuff was built into the browser. Why has that just frozen up? Let's just... Oh, it's completely frozen the tab. That's good. Let's just make a new one. I could fix the bug or I could just keep face rolling through it. Okay, so he gets up, walks across. And then it's going to reach in and, oh, that's cursed. It's only drawn one of the two guys. So you know how I said earlier, like this is going to be my first multi-material model in the entire engine, and I'm sure it's going to work. Surprise everyone, it didn't work. Okay, let's try and figure out what I just did wrong. Why did I delete the angel, not the protagonist? Am I stupid or something? Don't answer that, please. I'm also going to adjust his rotation when he's kind of like heading towards the protagonist. So let's try that again. I really need to implement that skip cutscene button. Maybe next time. All right, so steps forward. Okay. That's almost working. That's almost working. Right. So I'm just going to check in the linear interpolation function because that seems to work. And next up, let's check first of all, did it actually export multiple materials in the same object? Looks like it did, so that side of it appears to be working. Yeah, it definitely did. Okay, so next thing we need to look at is we need to see, because I've got a code generator, right? Reads in our OBJ files and dumps out temporary C files and disk that are then used to, to bring the code into the binary that we're deploying. I don't think it's likely kept them. Oh, it did. Well, okay. Not going to argue with that. So, be in the Angel file. This is going to be a big C file, and Visual Studio is going to have a fun time reading it. Right. So, it is indeed declaring to, because basically the way the kind of structure it uses is for each kind of separate object in our OBJ file, it's generating. This factory function is only really needed for the development builds, but yeah, it's to find like a list of all the vertices in the model, and if there's multiple models, they're all in one big list of vertices. It basically rips through the whole list and transforms them all at once, and then it has a bunch of the indices joining them up, and the texture coordinates, and then it also has. Hang on, I'm getting these mixed up, aren't I? Yeah. This is as good as a refresher for me as it is, showing this kind of like the audience, I guess, because it's been like a month since I last looked at this. It then lists the texture images and the number of triangles per texture, and then it makes a mesh object. And let's have a look at what's inside the mesh kind of like structure. I don't remember exactly. Number of vertices. Okay. Is the next thing the number of texture images? Yes, and it's definitely come for us 2. And there's definitely 2 there. Okay. Let's have a look at the mesh rendering code. I'm thinking this is likely where the issue is. Okay, so grabs the vertices, rips through them, transforms them all into kind of screen space. And then that should work. That should be working. Now, annoyingly, I'm running this in an environment where I can't, like, say, debug log out or anything like that. I don't have any means of doing that. I don't really know why I decided to do this using pointer arithmetic rather than, I don't know, something sane, but apparently I did. Because it means I'm having to do like, adjust, rather than just using one index and looking it up in multiple arrays, I'm having to do all sorts of nonsense. I am actually going to get rid of this pointer arithmetic because I hate it. Wait, where did I actually put that? Oh, there it is. Right, I'm just going to copy this out into a variable. I don't know if this actually helps performance. I don't know how smart C would necessarily be about knowing that there's no way the contents of what's referred to by a pointer couldn't possibly change. I can't really think of an obvious way you'd implement that, so I'm guessing there might be a performance improvement by copying the contents of the struct to local variables if I'm reading it more than once. I don't know. I've got no idea. Right. That should be good. Yeah, and we can get rid of this really bizarre. Why did I do this? Was I actually drunk when I wrote this? I just can't think of a good reason for ever writing code like this. It was not for performance because like incrementing all these pointers is way more expensive, than just using an index lookup. Ah. Wait, am I assigning the start further down? Am I reassigning this further down? Because if I'm not, the texture coordinates might be coming through really screwed up. Yeah, looks like I'm not doing that. That might be a cause though. I still expect to see the other model layers with messed up texture coordinates. Okay. Oh my god, why did I write it like this? This is so overcomplicated. Thinking about it, I can actually eliminate a few loops here. So what I can actually do is I can actually, because it's actually texture coordinates I'm iterating over here, not the images. And it's just that every time I run out of... No, that'd be a stupid optimization. I'm not going to do that. That'd just be... I was like, yeah, I can actually remove a loop here. And I'm like, no, you can't. It's just going to make things more complicated than you really want. It would still have a branch in it if I, say, looped over the texture coordinates and then just checked whether I need to move to the next image. Wouldn't really save me anything, to be honest. So, triangle index is 0. Hang on. I need to keep a running total of how many vertices in I am. Yeah, the other thing I just said I wasn't going to do, I'm going to do it anyway. So, do I store in here the total number of vertices? Yes, I do. So yeah, I'm iterating over the total vertices, and then within that I'm iterating, I'm basically just looping until I reach the end of the current material. Hopefully, after doing all this rework, it just works, and I don't have to think about this again. I'm not going to increment the vertex index there though, don't need to. Okay. Yeah, so just having a bit of a brain moment, if that makes sense. Just going back and forth on which, because I've got these two lists, they're of different lengths, but they're both kind of counting the same thing. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I had too late at night and it's too early in the morning for this. Okay, so we're going to go for the textures one by one. Nice and simple. We're going to get the triangle count, and we're then going to calculate the ending index from the current vertex index. And I'm going to add the number of triangles in this material by 3. And this isn't going to be a for loop, it's going to be a while loop. The reason for that is that, yeah, we're not initializing it, we're not incrementing it here. It's a while loop, it's not a for loop. Nice and easy. Just going to grab all of the data we need to make this triangle. This code's actually getting shorter, which is usually a good sign. It's usually a sign you're not fighting the language if your code's getting shorter, right? If like you're having to write stuff that's like, well, as long and convoluted and complex as that was, you're probably fighting the language rather than working with it. Now, the complicated thing about the next bit is that we need to then actually transform the we need to transform the coordinate into screen space and then do clipping. So on an actual graphics card, clipping is actually quite complex. You know, you're able to have a triangle stick halfway through the camera, and you can still see the half of it that's not sticking through the camera. But actually implementing that's kind of complicated because it actually splits a triangle into multiple sub-triangles. And I'm like, it's a lot of work. I could just make sure nothing ever touches the camera. It's just feasible in my case. So the PlayStation 1 did it anyway. If anything ever touches the camera, just delete the whole triangle. Okay, let's post increment all of these. I usually hate post increment, but you know, I'm coming around to it. I've used the wrong variable for this. What the heck am I doing? Right, that might work, it might not. Who the hell knows? Build. Just rewrite code until it probably works, I guess. Come on, you can do it. I said you can do it. Did I change a header file? I don't remember changing a header file. This seems to be recompiling everything as though I'd changed the header file. Oh my god! I have definitely not improved anything. Oh my god. Oh no. What have I done? Oh, I know what I've done. Right. What's happening here is, although there's only three vertices in a triangle, I'm moving to the next vertex. What is that? 3 plus 6, that's 9 times per triangle. So it is like the first triangle is going to be fine, and then it's just going to fly. Actually, it's not. It's going to be kind of messed up looking, but it's flying way off the end of the list of triangles and going into God knows what memory. So let's let's do that, and let's store these in some variables, and then use them. I probably want to actually be reading out of the same array as much as possible for kind of like memory purposes. In fact, I probably actually want to be putting these all in the array together just so I can like rip through the whole array in one go. I'm going to put a to-do comment in for that because that'd be very useful. The more you can put data you use at the same time together, and the more you can separate data that you're using at different times, usually the better your memory performance is going to be. Okay. Oh my god, it's just a different kind of cursed. What is... Oh my god, that's his mouth. Oh no. Okay. What the actual hell have I unleashed here? What is even happening? No, I've just realized what's happening. I need separate counters for these. Okay, I'm actually going to do that that redesign right here and there. That's my mesh. I'm going to mesh header file, and I'm going to combine these indices with these texture coordinates into just one stream, given that they're basically being used together. Yeah, yeah, for each triangle, interleaved. Yeah, just make it really obvious that these are not planar or something, because I normally do things planar. Right, so what order are we going for in? What order are we going in? Well, we need the locations first, and then we only really need the texture coordinates afterwards. Hang on a second. What am I doing here? Oh, wait, those, right. I was like, are those texture coordinates? No, they're not. They're not. Okay. For each, okay, for each vertex of each triangle, interleaved index of the location. The number of rows between top. Oh, actually, do I have these as floats? I think I do. Wait, hang on. Oh yeah, I do that right here. Ah, that might be a reason I never interleave them. Yeah, and they have to be floats. Oh my god, what am I talking about? I'm just going to run in circles today. This has not been a great day for me, and like just having solid coherent thoughts that make sense. Okay. Remove that comment, it's not true. Let's only read these when we need to. That's good. Get rid of all these. And then we can start moving these further down the pack, and hopefully we can skip reading some things we don't need to. That said, it'll probably already be paged in. Yeah, what can you do? Yeah, that's right. We only pull in one axis of each screen coordinate because we can use that one axis to know if the triangle needs to be clipped. I remember now. It's all coming back to me. Slowly, but it is all coming back to me. Right, we're almost there, I think. Just need to store the texture coordinate index. Just better fix this bug now I've done all this nonsense. Better not have rewritten this for no reason. That'd be tragic. And I'm actually just going to group these together, so I'm doing like accesses from the same array as much in parallel as possible. I might actually merge these together into a single array because I tend to access them together. No, that's still cursed. Right, I'm definitely still getting something very wrong here. What is it? I mean, all the geometry seems to be there and be right. Actually, let's just do a quick test here. Let's see if we can see the silhouette of the protagonist in the kind of the angel's arms. He's not animating. That's kind of weird. Huh. I've destroyed everything and I'm very happy with myself. Definitely something wrong here. What is it? It's going okay, thanks. I was planning on finishing like 50 minutes ago, but then I broke everything. I've turned it into Silent Hill, I guess. How's it going your end? I've done something really wrong here, and I'm like racking my brains as to what it could be. Oh wait, I'm not incrementing these. These need incrementing. And those need to go up by 6, not by 3. Hey, pretty nice, pretty nice. Going anywhere cool? Hey, I fixed it. Okay, come on. Yes! I don't know how I fixed the bug where the other character model wasn't rendering, but I did somehow. That will do. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I need to retexture the curtains. I did kind of like a retexture pass where I made anything that's lit directly from the outside, kind of like yellow, warm tones, because it's like being lit by the sodium lamps. But I didn't redo the curtains, so the curtains are still very kind of blue tinted, and it looks very weird. Right. So I'm going to commit that. Somehow fixed a bug where second mesh doesn't render. That will do. I still don't know what they actually did to fix it, but I'm very happy I did. Okay, so we have the 2 frames of animation here. Why isn't this playing? Oh wait, it is. Well, I'm happy that's working. Let's just commit that, and that's probably done for today. Did I definitely save the changes to this? Yes, I did. Good. Yeah, as long as it's less broken afterwards, you're probably in a good place. That's a very good way. That's a very, very good way of putting programming. Did make any change to any of this? What's this? Oh, this was a. I can get rid of that. This was a hack I put in like a month ago to try and figure out. I did the wireframe rendering to try and figure out why things weren't working. This was. I had to implement a sine table myself because the particular build chain I'm using doesn't include the math library. And I found a bug with it, and I haven't actually yet properly fixed that. Protagonist. I just named everything in this game things I can't spell. Anyway, sorry for kind of quitting when everyone turned up, but that's pretty much me done for today because I did not plan to run for this long. Thank you very much for watching and have a great weekend. Oh yeah, and have a great break.